Möguleikar Íslendinga eru svo óendanlega miklir á sviði jarðvarma að það væri mikil synd og skömm að bíða með framkvæmdir þar til aðrir hafa tekið fram úr ykkur. Þetta segir Michael Porter, einn helsti sérfræðingur heims í samkeppnishæfni þjóða og stefnumótun, en margir muna eftir honum frá árinu 2007, þegar hann sagði augljóst að hér væri hagkerfið að ofhitna, það þyrfti ekki nema að telja byggingakranana til að átta sig á því. Hann er einn þeirra sem hefur fylgst vel með þróun og mótun jarðvarmaklasans sem var formlega stofnaður í dag og telur Íslendinga of svartsýna á framtíðina. Fáar þjóðir hafa jafn mikla möguleika á að komast í fremstu röð á ní. Við ætlum að sýna viðtalið Porter hér eftir andartak.
There has been a lot of talk about the energy resources of Iceland for many years, but maybe not a total focus or strategy on how to use it. Can you explain to us, first of all, a little bit about the ideology of the Icelandic geothermal cluster?
Well, I think what we know is that the way economies really grow and the way wealth gets created is through clusters, through where a country or region can develop a critical mass of expertise in a particular field that has some unique resources that they can build in that field. And there's a number of clusters in the Icelandic economy, but this geothermal cluster is one of the most unique. And of course, this is one of the big issues of our time, is energy.
Definitely.
And clean energy and green energy. And Iceland has, because of its resource that it has inherited from the past, has actually built a unique asset. And the question is how to capitalize on that asset. Exactly. And how to use that, not only to use the resource in Iceland, which is important and we can talk about that, but also what's much bigger is actually the know-how, the technology, the expertise, the project management, the ability to build equipment and provide services related to this field.
Everything, it's all can be exported.
All can be exported, yeah. I mean, the great example we have in America is Houston, Texas. Houston is the center of the oil and gas cluster in America. Very little exports of oil and gas. That's almost gone. But what they have now is the technology, the expertise, software, financing, project management, reading the seismic, scans of the earth. All that is in Houston, and that creates tremendous wealth. Very high wages, very high economic growth.
And that's what could be done.
That's what could be done here.
Even though we're not exporting the energy itself.
Right. I mean, again, we can export the energy, but we have unlimited opportunity to export the technology.
Does ownership have anything to do with it? Is it important? Does it matter that it's mostly publicly owned?
Well, it all depends on how the public sector behaves with that ownership. But let me just make it clear that in order to be world class in something, you need to first do it well at home,
right,
in order to do it well abroad. And again, that's the real asset that Iceland has. That Iceland's been at this for a long time. It's a very large proportion of our energy use here in this country comes from this source. Iceland has developed expertise in not just heating and making electricity, but also in a variety of other uses for geothermal power. So this history of local use of the resource gives the country the asset. Then the question is how to expand and take advantage of that expertise internationally. Now, the fact that the power companies are publicly owned, again, what we find around the world is public ownership or private ownership is not as important as how it's managed. You can have a publicly owned firm if it's managed like a business, if it has to make a profit, if people there are well motivated to be efficient, to deploy new technology. Then we have in Singapore examples of publicly owned airlines. Singapore Airlines is publicly owned. They're one of the most efficient airlines in the world. That's because they're run like a business, and they have professional management. So I think if the publicly owned entities in Iceland were to be run like businesses and develop their expertise and the opportunity that way, that would not be a disadvantage. That said, the odds show around the world that it'd be better to have a mix of public and private. It'd be better to have more entrepreneurial capacity in the field. The resource itself can be owned by the citizens of Iceland, But we have lots of examples around the world where you can essentially lease or license to the private sector the ability to deploy the resource. And,
right.
and I think I would like to see a more mixed situation where there's both public and private entities that are exploiting the resource with a very strong regulatory framework.
Right, which it would make the environment a bit more competitive.
More competitive and more vitality, more innovation would go on. Right now, things are just moving too slowly in Iceland, just painfully slowly. You know, this is the biggest opportunity you can possibly imagine. This is a global tidal wave of opportunity. And in Iceland, we're still discussing and debating, and things are moving much too slowly.
So, I mean, this paper is a big step in this, but
It
now
sure is.
you are on the verge of implementation.
Yes.
How is that gonna happen?
Well,
I mean, it's not the government that's
no,
creating
it's not the
this.
government. Yeah.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
But how is it going to be implemented?
Well, the milestone that has been created today in Iceland is there's now a private sector organization for the entire geothermal cluster. Mm-hmm. And it involves all the players that are important. And it's not government. Government has been blessing and participating, but really this is a private sector-led entity where the private sector has come together, put resources together, created an organizational framework for collaboration and for taking action. The organization can take much action without actually even the need for government to do much. There's many agendas. There's how to create new financing vehicles. There's how to provide better education and training, how to attract more students from abroad. There's all kinds of things that need to be done here. Many of them can be done in the private sector. Mm-hmm. Without having to wait for government or politics, which are complicated right now in the country. So that is a milestone. We have an organization, everybody's joined in, there's money, there's resources, there's meetings, there's a framework, but the question is, can Iceland take action? And
you'd say here that Iceland, all the Icelanders in this field, they maybe lack a bit of business expertise?
You know, I'm not sure it's business expertise. I think it's perhaps a little need to be a little more entrepreneurial, mm-hmm. a little more aggressive, a little more risk-taking. I find, you know, this is a country I've now been coming for, I think, about 6 years, if I remember correctly, and I've been here a number of times, and I'm always amazed at what I find when I come to Iceland. This trip, I actually encountered the Icelandic horse cluster. You know, there's a whole, you know. And these remarkable people breeding these remarkable animals, and there's a whole industry. It's a global business now. And these people at a very modest level are real entrepreneurs, but somehow on these bigger issues like geothermal power, there's a very great risk aversion, and everything is very slow and very political. I think it's not that people here aren't entrepreneurs. It's not that we don't have good business skills. It's being more aggressive, moving things forward.
But isn't it also because it's a very sensitive issue?
It is sensitive.
After the crash or the collapse in 2008, people are very protective.
Yes.
The nation is very protective
Right.
of its resources.
Exactly.
And they say, you don't go and play around with our resources.
Yeah,
They say,
yeah.
we have to play this safe.
Yeah. Well, and I understand that, but this is a resource that is inherently here. Mm-hmm. You know, nobody can take it away, you know, and it's not like money. Money just flows around, and it's dangerous because it's not real. This is real. This is a tangible resource. It's going to be here. The only, I don't think there's any doubt that the ownership of the actual resource mm-hmm. should be local. This should be owned by the state, and it should be licensed. Mm-hmm. The exploitation should be licensed. And not given or sold to somebody else. So I understand that, but you know, there's huge opportunity. You know, this country has what, 8% unemployment.
Mm-hmm. About.
You know, 2 or 3 projects to sort of develop this resource under a strict regulatory regime could make a huge impact on the whole country's economy.
Your comments from 2007 got quite famous when you said, there's something weird about all those cranes here. There
Yes.
are too many. This means something is overheating. So, I mean, looking at that, you knew what you were saying. So you saying we may be being too pessimistic about the future?
I think today there's too much pessimism. And I think part of that is sort of the inherent reaction to a very, very depressing economic downturn, which frankly most Icelanders had nothing to do with. Foreign investment, where it's sophisticated technology, where it's high-paying jobs, where it's bringing the country into the global economy in an important field, is really phenomenally good for the country. But I think people here are somehow connecting foreign investment with the financial crisis. That wasn't the problem. The problem wasn't foreign investment. It wasn't foreign companies coming into Iceland and doing something bad. That wasn't the problem. So we have to get on with taking advantage of connecting this country better into the global economy in this very fundamental way, where we have a wonderful opportunity. So I guess that's my lament, that we aren't moving faster. But again, it will happen. It will happen. Also, let's be clear on geothermal. There are two opportunities. There's the opportunity to use the resource that Iceland has, which there's a lot of. And I would love to see that resource used to create more and more and more value for the country. And that would be very high value uses like the data centers, for example. But the other opportunity is not just to use the geothermal resource to essentially sell the resource in the form of power, to put it into power-intensive activities. The other opportunity is to sell the know-how.
Exactly.
And that means education and training. More students coming here, learning from the expertise and the knowledge here. That's happening. And and the world is moving. Geothermal is being developed elsewhere. And so if we have in business, there's a concept called the first mover advantage. We were the first mover. But the longer we take to kind of take advantage of this, the more other people learn too. And we won't be as unique. They catch up. So I think there's a little bit of that risk. And that's why I would love to see some significant new power projects happen soon. We have the technology, there's investors, let's build a regulatory framework, let's create a clear structure, some good rules, transparency, protection. Let's do that quickly. Let's get that moving. And then let's organize in Iceland so that we can take advantage of our expertise and get involved in projects all over the world. Get more students. What could be more exciting than to be the country that was in the forefront of, again, one of the major trends in our entire society right now? Great position to be in, so let's do it.
Let's hope. Thank you very much for being with us, Mr. Porter.
My pleasure.